Good morning, and you are watching Behind the Flame, where the start of everything that happens in Falkor is right here in Kalispell, Montana. And we have a tremendous guest here who I consider to be a shooting phenom. But before I get to that, we want to thank our sponsors. We have Kinsey's Optics. Those that do not know, get onto their website. They are like the hub of all optics. They have really good deals, really good prices on everything that they have for scopes and reflex sights, what have you. Also, go on to 221B Tactical. They do a lot of stuff for military, law enforcement stuff, first responders, the whole works. Get onto their site. They make a really cool kit. We also have Taurus. Get onto their website. They make some really phenomenal revolvers and pistols. They've been doing it for a long time, and there's a reason for it. Also, we have Mark Bell Slingshot. They do stuff for guys that are really hardcore in the gym, and even for your just avid guy that goes to the gym for, bench press and push-ups and stuff like that. Really good products for keeping everything kind of healthy and moving and keep your mobility going. Also, we have Bang Energy. Not your atypical sugar, high-induced, coma-causing drink, but it does have a lot of caffeine and creatine for guys that do hit the gym and keeps guys like John and Jason on the up and up and not freaking out. And with that being said, it is Friday. It is December 7th. It is Pearl Harbor Day, for those who don't know. It's 1941, the day that will live in infamy. So do yourselves a favor, show some respect, do some history looking, take a look at it. And with that being said, like I said, we have a shooting phenom with us today, Kolby Pavlock. John?
Quite the intro. It is Pearl Harbor Day, everybody. So take a moment, thank a veteran. To Aaron's point, look it up, read the story if you haven't. It's an important day. Take a moment to remember those if you have anyone that served. I want to take a minute to introduce everyone around the horn real fast. Austin Web Designs, producing today. There he is. He's camera shy today. Aaron, thanks for the intro, as always. Our leader at Dracos, giving the intro. Haley J. Photo. She has her pom-pom hat on and her grandma sweater. And, of course, Jason's in here. He's having a little snack. He's getting whacked out on Bang energy drinks. We're waiting on Weston Harris from Sport Ears. He's day trading his life away. And, of course, Melinda Sanju, looking lovely as always. Hopefully we can get her to chime in. And Derek's been helping out. The crew's been scrambling with Chacho down there. If anyone makes a crate over 100 inches, a shipping crate, we're looking for a crate, if anybody out there. If not, I'm going to have to take the U-Haul myself, and maybe we'll make a whole thing out of it. I'll take it myself if we have to. Aaron and I could take it. We can make a party bus out of it. Stop and eat. So, we have a guest today. He's, I've known him since he was 16, give or take. He shoots for everybody you can think of that is worth shooting for in his divisions. He's dominated all his divisions. He is a prodigy, there's no doubt in my mind when it comes to shooting. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. Tough act to follow, going from Crispy to Ava to Julie. And now we have Kolby Pavlock, the 4-time rimfire world champion.
Thanks for having me on the show, John.
Absolutely. So how would you categorize 4-time world? Would you say that's dominating your field?
I would say it's pretty dominating my field, since the Rimfire Challenge is not new, but it's been around for about 7-8 years.
So take me through this, because you're young. You're 19.
Yep.
And I've known you since, well, you've always been big. Now you've gotten a little heavier.
I know.
But take me through this at 13, 14, 15, when you start maturing into shooting. We were talking a little bit about it last night. You didn't go to conventional camps. You went to, like, shooting camps.
Yeah.
And your mom's been in the business. So take me through kind of how this happens, how you become this child prodigy in shooting.
Yeah, so I've been hunting with my family since I can remember, probably 3 or 4. And then my mom had a friend and her kids were in this junior shooter program back in Idaho. And I went out and watched one of their practices one day, and I was like, you know, I really love guns and love being outdoors, so I'm going to give this a shot. And I was in the junior shooter program for not even a year, and then I started doing the MGM junior camps. I did the pistol camp for 2 years, and then the 3-gun camp for 2 years. And then after that, I was like, you know, I want to start doing stuff on my own, and I did a class with JJ Racaza, one of the best USPS.
We love you, JJ.
And then after that, I've just been training when I can and doing my own thing when time allows me with school and work.
Now, you're being modest. You've trained with some of the best out there. You mentioned JJ. You've rubbed elbows with BJ, with Max, with some of the best guys out there. I mean, as a young guy, most people never get exposure to that level of talent to train under. What's that like? And, you know, what are some of the things they taught you that kind of really changed the way you look at things or changed the game for you? I mean, is it breathing? Is it pausing? Is it taking your time? Is it seeing the field, as they say? Like, what? Take me through that a little bit.
Yeah, so like when I first started shooting with the junior shooter program, it was pretty crazy to be watching these pros like Max and BJ and JJ and all these other guys. And I never thought I'd get to the point where I'd be competing at their level. And at the junior camps, we went through a lot of techniques, getting the basics down, and then after that, we started going into more of the speed, the reloads, getting that down, and really focusing on getting your accuracy and speed down all at the same time.
And your mom's been super supportive of this. I know you mentioned hunting with your dad. Gail, you know, I've known her for a few years. She's been super supportive of you, and she's worked in the business. What's that? I mean, that must be the perfect environment, in my opinion, to have your dad on one side of the spectrum teaching you the hunting and the fundamentals, and then your mom's in the business and, you know, work for a suppressor company and shot in her own right. That's the perfect environment. I mean, that's what every kid dreams of, right? Being able to go out there and have full support from your family, and nobody's, you know, you're just immersed in that perfect environment.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's nice to have my mom help me, support me, and being with her in the industry, it helps a lot, being able to get out there a little bit more. And then my dad, being able to hunt with him and being in the mountains with him, it's really a blessing. But with all of them, with the support, I mean, I wouldn't be here without them.
It's very touching.
I know.
It's true, though.
Yeah.
So some of the hunts, what hunts have you been on that you've loved?
I really enjoy elk and deer hunting. This year we didn't even see anything because the weather was crazy. But I've killed a couple elk, a couple deer, and then one of the favorite hunts was going to Nebraska. I did a whitetail hunt, and I really enjoyed that. It was different than hunting in Idaho when we were sitting in a blind waiting for deer to come to a cornfield, and a lot different than hunting around the mountains.
Yeah, no doubt. Have you been any long, like, backcountry, anything that's like you go like 10, 12, 15 miles, any big ones? Or
No, most of the stuff is mostly four-wheeler accessible.
Yeah.
We just haven't really had time to go and do backcountry with my dad's work.
What would your dream hunt be?
Oh my, probably either going to New Mexico or Arizona for an elk hunt. Big elk.
Melinda's getting excited.
Yeah.
So you got to make some time for that.
Yeah.
You know, you've accomplished so much in such a short period of time. You got to make some time for that. Where, you know, and we'll move past the shooting, get into some of the personal stuff and some of the things that inspire you. Where do you see it going for yourself? I mean, you've done so much now to 19. Mm-hmm. What's the next 3 years look like? What's the next 5 years look like for you?
Yeah, so I started doing machining back when I was a sophomore in high school and been doing it. I'm going to get my associates in it. So here in the next couple of years, I'm going to finish my degree and then hopefully start my own business building custom pistols and rifles and continuing to shoot and repping all my sponsors and then hopefully showing off my guns and getting people interested in them.
Is that before or after you come work at Falkor?
You know, that's going to be a tough decision.
Well, Jason wants an answer today.
Today? I don't know if I can give him an answer today.
He wants an answer today. Exactly.
Well, you got mom and girlfriend to talk to too, so.
Yeah, well, we can get Gail to buy in. So that is really rare because you're so immersed in the firearms business. And I don't think whether it's the listeners or even the folks in here can really, I mean, we can understand and appreciate it, but you're a world champion that's not just like, hey, I want to make money off the shirts on my back. I want to get out and work in the business and contribute to the business and add something. That's rare. I mean, it's really rare. I know JJ owns a gun shop and he's kind of really entrenched in it, but he has background in some federal work, everything else. You know, what do you see yourself doing to kind of revolutionize the game? I mean, do you already have ideas in your head? Have you thought this through? Do you got like drawings? I mean, where's your brain? Like, is it just, hey, I want to do badass 1911s? I mean, where's your head with all this?
I've been throwing some designs around. Being in the machining, I kind of know a little bit what's going on. I usually sit in my room for a couple hours a day and figure designs out, and something that people haven't done before or something close, but putting my little my twist on it. With the whole 2011s, I haven't really shot much of it. I've been like 2 years doing it, but I would like to start doing that. And then the whole rimfire stuff with Falkor and the other guys I've been working with, it's something that I want to do on my own and put my own little twist on it.
It makes sense. It's super powerful. And you've worked with Zev for a while.
Yeah, since I started.
So what, you know, in the 7 years you said you worked with Zev, you've seen a lot of changes there. Obviously, we love the brand here. We're close with the ownership. What have they been your most supportive, most exciting sponsor to work with, or is it Volkortsen, or, you know, what have you loved about some of the brands you've worked with, and what is it like being a young shooter having all these brands to work with?
Yeah, when I first started with Zev, back when I started 7 years ago, they were very supportive, helping me get to matches and giving me guns and get me with relationships with other companies. And then when I stepped up and been with Volkortsen, they've been amazing to work with. They helped me get to all the matches, all the rimfire matches, and pay for hotel and travel that I need so I can get to all these other matches.
So you start out being a young, quote-unquote, sponsored shooter, right?
Yeah.
What type of, like, what is that like when you head to matches and you have these other young shooters, like the dynamic? Are they like harder on you because you're sponsored? I would imagine. I mean, you're getting out there and now you have all these names on your jersey. You kind of become like the golden child a little bit, you know? Is everybody looking at you? Like on the Pro Series, they look at Max. I mean, is that like, hey, the stage is really big and the lights are really bright? I mean, how does that play out? Or are they just like, hey, fuck that kid, you know?
No, so especially for the younger kids, they definitely look up to me and the other top juniors that shoot. And with the sponsors, you know, it's awesome. They support me and everyone that else shoots. But it's, I mean, no one really like degrades you for having all these sponsors and stuff. And it's funny too, because when I first shot my bigger rimfire matches, one of the guys, he had sponsors all over his jersey. He was like, you know, I was thinking I was never gonna get to the point where I'd have this many sponsors on my jersey, and then time comes and I'm representing all these awesome companies. I didn't really think it was possible.
It's totally badass, in my opinion, because people, I mean, it wasn't until my 30s that, you know, I started having that type of engagement with brands. And I had trained and shot and done bunch of different things. But to sit and be with someone as young as yourself and you walk around Churchill, people know who you are. Yeah. People know what you do, and that's a lot to handle. I liken it to like a child actor almost in a roundabout way, not to call you that. But it's similar. It's a pressure. There's no doubt there's a pressure to perform and to go in and do it. I'm always intrigued, and I know Aaron is, in the mindset of someone who can go out there and win multiple championships, one after the other. Some people win it once, and they feel like they proved what they needed to prove. They accomplished what they needed to accomplish, and they never get there again.
Yeah.
You look at people like yourself and Tom Brady and other people that win year in and year out consistently. It's amazing in and of itself, because you have to recondition your brain and almost start at zero all over again. And it takes a special person to do that. There's no doubt.
It's definitely a mentality. It's definitely a self-drive. So with that being said, what keeps you driving forward?
So like when I first started, it was mostly going out and shooting matches and hoping I did best as I could. But now that I'm competing at the top or the higher level with all these guys, it's you show up to a match and you're like, you know, you got to represent your sponsors, and if you mess up on the stage, you can't go back and throw like a temper tantrum. You got to keep it to yourself and work through it. But now it's definitely a head game because I know I can shoot to my ability and do well at matches. And now it's just staying mental and keeping my head on track.
It definitely at some point becomes more mental.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Coming in here day in and day out, it becomes a mental game. Going and competing in anything, you almost have to get to a point, and am I right in saying this, Kolby, and we'll get Aaron's thoughts, you almost have to, it's you against you. It's you competing against you in many ways, because once you know you're there,
Yep.
the first one is always the climb, right?
Yeah.
It's the climb. It's just like getting your first sponsor or getting, your first toe in the water. You're there now. Then it's more, okay, I know I can hang, but can I do it consistently, stage in, stage out, match in and match out?
Yeah, so definitely myself, even if I have a good stage, some people, like a lot of people think it's a blazing time, but myself, I know I can do better. So it comes, like you said, it's you against yourself. And even my mom and my girlfriend and all my family were like, you did awesome. And I'm like, well, I'm always degrading myself. I'm not degrading myself, but I'm always being like, I could always do better, or I could pick up time here and there. So I'm definitely going against myself at this point. And then obviously the higher end shooters too.
Of course. And of course, it's, are you watching film? How are you breaking yourself down?
Most of the time I have people video for me at matches just so I can watch like some of the stuff that I do wrong or I'm doing good. So then when I go out to practice or even dry fire, I know what I need to work on or something that I don't really need to work on.
Footwork,
Yeah.
everything. Like I know JJ obsesses over footwork now.
Yeah.
He knows he can change a mag. He knows he
Yeah.
he obsesses over footwork. And those little things put together become the big things.
Yep.
And for you to understand that at such a young age is really amazing, and I hope it stays with you well into your 30s and 40s because it'll serve you well.
Yeah, me too.
Because focusing on those little things, guys, out there shooting is so important. You have to consistently deliver, especially when you become a champion or you become a sergeant or you're in charge of a unit or you're in charge of anything, a building. You have to consistently deliver the same product over and over and over again. That's hard. That's incredibly hard to do.
Well, I think if you take ego out of it, I don't think it's hard. I think a lot of it has to deal with,
Yeah.
just sticking with the basics. I don't think you do anything flashy, right, Kolby? I think you just stick to what you know, and the basics work for you, right? But,
Yep.
I mean, there are some finer adjustments that you go along the way, but, I mean, until you have ego come into play, I think you'll be okay. And I don't see you guys having that kind of that egotistical mentality. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfectly said. I think once you strip the ego out of it and you're willing to learn, and one of the things I'm always doing, and I know we've both watched each other from afar, is I'm constantly challenging myself into different spaces and different things. Most recently doing the jiu-jitsu journey and doing that, but I think it's more and more about challenging yourself in new areas. Like I know going forward, you'll be challenging yourself in some open stuff and some, getting into different formats.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to serve you well because it's only going to make you improve and get better and continue to kind of seek out that self-criticism maybe.
Yeah.
Almost like, hey, I really have this down and mastered. And at what point do you feel like, because I'm a checkbox guy. Mm-hmm. Derek always refers to me as a check the box guy. I'm the kind of guy, like I set a goal, and when I check the box, I move on.
Yeah.
Have you feel like you've checked the box in that rimfire space?
Almost. Most of the time I've been shooting iron sights in my rimfire stuff, and I've been winning big matches shooting the iron sights against open guys. But this year I'm going to start shooting the open to compete with Max at that pace, because I know my times with limited are where they need to be. When Max is doing runs and setting the 8 stages at like 60 seconds with a 22 open pistol, it's like I want to start doing that. But yeah.
How do you feel you measure up?
I don't know. shooting open, it's definitely a little bit different getting used to the dot, but I think with a lot of practice over the winter and the spring.
Do you look at his scores and your scores and you're kind of like, am I there? I mean, how do you mentally wrap your head around it? Because I know I would be.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's got to be one of the things you go through, or are you more, I mean, I guess you can't be starstruck, right? You just have to be like, you know. Somebody once told me this story. So I heard this story once, and it was a great story. And Andy Stump just walked in, everybody. He's taking over the show. So I heard this story once, and it was an awesome one. If you read the book Moneyball, they talk about sitting in the dugout of the Mets. And Lenny Dykstra, actually, they said, I knew Lenny would be a great pro because he looked at Nolan Ryan on the mound and he said, fuck him, I'll hit him. And it's that mentality that you have to have going against the Maxes and the JJs to compete. If you look at him and you say, oh, but that's Nolan Ryan, he's going to strike me out, fuck, I'm a pussy, you're going to fold. You know, you have to look across whatever competitive arena you're in and you have to say, fuck him. That has to be the mentality. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
I mean, they're your friends, but you have to say in a competitive scenario, I can get the best of them, otherwise you lost before you got in.
Exactly. I agree with you.
Well, I think also in a stance, I firmly have this. It's just personally, I feel like I don't put people on a pedestal, and the reason for that is because I think people have a tendency to cut themselves down when they do that, when they're looking at somebody else saying, hey, this guy is way better than me,
Yeah.
or that's the level that I need to be. How about you set your own example,
Yeah.
your own standard, and just keep with that instead of saying, well, this guy's good.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you were to look beyond that, like you want to set goals for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily on what he's done, because, I mean, what he's done is great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you always have to set your standards a little bit higher to push yourself, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think too, what it comes down to is you look at your own body of work being a 4-time world champion, and you say to yourself, can I duplicate that? Is it a failure if I don't duplicate that at the next level? And the answer has to be no. You have to treat each level for what it is, right?
Yep.
You have to be like, okay, so when I go to Open, and I'm competing against the big boys, the JJs, the Maxes, the KCs, everybody else, I have to treat that for what that is. You know, I have to maybe start a little bit at the bottom in my mind,
Yeah.
and maybe it takes me 2 years. But whatever the curve is, I want to adjust it as fast as humanly possible. And maybe they don't give you the secrets they were giving you when you were a junior guy. And that's
Yeah.
probably going to happen with JJ and Max.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to give you all the tricks, you know, and Shane. They're probably going to not hold you back, but it's, how did Arnold put it in Pumping Iron? He's like, I give him advices, and maybe I give him the wrong advices. So, you know, you have to be a little wary of that, and you're kind of on your own now. You're out on an island. Because not everybody's going to give you every tip and trick now as you go to the next level.
Yeah.
They're going to say, oh, shit, now he's here. Because it gets competitive, and you have money involved, and you have sponsors involved, and you have that involved. But the sport's very open. I mean, for the most part, nobody's that
No.
bad. But at the same time, they're there to win, too.
Oh, yeah.
They're there to
Yep.
win. So that's exciting stuff. I mean, your mindset is like, you're 19, but your mindset is one of like a fucking 30-year-old, for Christ's sakes. So you got the right mindset. I mean, it really is. You hit the reset button every year, and you're able to go out and do what you do, and you're not competing against any slouches.
No.
You
Definitely
know,
not.
and we talked about this. There's no animosity. I mean, some of these guys that have finished second and third to you have finished second and third to you for 3 or 4 years. They're probably like, "What the fuck?" Have you dealt with any animosity from that side?
A little bit. They definitely train more. Well, like one guy in particular, I know he goes out and shoots like almost every day, and I don't really go out and shoot much. I mean, with work and school, I don't have much time. It's a lot of just dry fire at home and when I can. And so they're like, oh, well, you know, I practice all the time. I should be up there with you, but
Is it talent? Is it just work ethic? Is it just you want it more?
I think it's a mixture of all three. I mean, obviously, you're not going to move up if you don't practice. I mean, if you just pick up a gun and go out shoot a match every once in a while, you're not going to get better. But definitely the mental stuff, too.
Oh, yeah. Mental's everything. So you had the tour. You visited the facility. You've seen some of the stuff we're working on here. What do you love about Falkor? I know since I've come here, you've kind of always watched the brand a little bit from afar, but now that you've been through here and visited, you know, what are your thoughts now on what we're doing?
Yeah, so before I even knew you were here, being in Idaho and with other companies there, it's like Falkor is just up there. But coming here and seeing how everything runs, it's definitely pretty cool. I didn't know some of the stuff was up here, which is awesome. But the way things are done up here, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think having you out here to spend some time with the team has been awesome. Who do you look at? You know, I know you mentioned we threw a few names around. Who inspires you, and where do you draw inspiration from? And who are you paying attention to, whether it's on social media or in life? You know, who are you kind of picking up the phone and calling and saying, you know, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? I mean, where do you draw your inspiration from?
Most of the time, my inspiration comes from Max and JJ and KC, just because they're at the top level and that's where I want to be one day. But I also look up to my mom and my dad. They're set great examples for me, and anytime something happens and I'm out of town, I usually call my mom and talk to her about things because she's the only one. She's not the only one, but I can rely on her.
And she has a lot of ties to the business, so she knows a lot of the players and the people involved, which is important.
Yeah, and having her, she loves to go out and shoot with me, but also her being on the outside, she gets to watch how people interact with me, and then I can talk to her about stuff.
Anyone outside the shooting world besides your parents, really? I mean, they're in it, so it's kind of jaded.
Yeah.
You know.
No, not really. Pretty much because shooting's taken over my life, and then doing the whole machining stuff, it's not no one really outside of the shooting world, besides maybe you, John. I mean, I want to be buff like you one day.
If you work really hard and you say your prayers and you take your vitamins, you might be 1/10 of 1/15 of what I have under this shirt.
All right.
It's called fat.
It's called fat. No, you listen. You got a long way to go. You have a lot of time ahead of you, and your frame's a lot like Shane's in many ways. You know, Shane's like a fucking big farm animal.
Yeah.
You know, I see you getting behind much bigger caliber fast and being able to acclimate really quickly. I mean, neither one of us are built like JJ. We're not exactly 160-pound sprites running around the fucking range.
Definitely not.
So I see you gravitating towards that quickly, and once you touch a weight, I think it's gonna wrap around you real quick. That's good. Yeah. And you know, you're on social media now. You get to see all the shoot fast guys, the social media gurus. Everybody's a ninja.
Yeah.
How does social media rub you? What do you think of it now that you're kind of maturing and seeing some of the stuff play out on social? And you know, what grabs you out there? Do you love it? Do you hate it?
It's kind of both. Sometimes I hate it. Just seeing all the not bashing on anything, but like all the gun bunnies and all the people dissing that hold two-way. But on the good side, it helps me and all these other competitive shooters rep their sponsors and get product out there for other people to see. Especially if they're not being on the range, social media is awesome. Being able to show off everything that you have or talk about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can draw a little bit of everything from it, but it has its pros and cons. It has its pros and cons, there's no doubt, especially being young.
Yeah.
You know, I think the younger guys and gals throw a lot of shit out there. What other young shooters do you pal around with, do you hang with that you love and follow?
Mostly Cheyenne, Dalton. We're pretty close. We go to almost all the matches we can together, and if I have questions about social media, I usually go to her about it.
Yeah, she does it right. There's no doubt her name's come up a lot. Trying to get her out here at some point or get her on. But she definitely does it right, and she's going to have a super bright future. There's no doubt about it in shooting and whatever she decides to conquer. She's got her hand in a little bit of everything, apparel, and you know, she's starting to really get it going. But you've traveled around and you've been to all these great matches. What's been one of your favorite matches and one of your favorite, you know, which one do you look forward to? You circle the calendar and you're like, this is the one.
Probably have to be Rimfire Worlds, just because of all the great people that are in the Rimfire Challenge family, pretty much. And going to those matches, those are the ones I always want to go to. Unlike this year, I had some issues moving to Florida, so I wasn't able to make the World Speed Shoot, which was a bummer. But mostly the Rimfire World Championship is definitely a match that I circle every time.
Other than the Worlds, is there like a championship that like you covet? Because I know for some of the guys, like, you know, they really want to win like their home one. Like, is there one that you're like, I got to win this one no matter what?
So before they stopped doing it was the Rimfire Challenge in Idaho. It was a regional one pretty much. And then once the new organization took it over, we kind of lost that match. But mostly it's just state matches at that point.
Where do you see shooting sports going?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. I don't know, because I think there's a lot of opportunities for all of them, especially like rimfire stuff, because it's great for new kids and new people to get into shooting 22s. It's cheap, and then moving on to USPSA and 3-gun.
I'd love to see them get more. I mean, it'll never happen, but whether it's TV or getting more publicized, I always say if you guys were playing baseball, you'd be millionaires.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Jason's probably got a few questions for you.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
I do.
Showtime.
Oh boy.
Now, these are easy questions because I've shot competitively. And I will tell you that I've never been humbled as that was a very humbling moment. I was nervous. You know, you stand out there and you know this, there's 25, 30 people in each stage.
Yeah.
Gawking.
Looking. I'm an owner of a gun company. Am I going to go out here and represent, or am I going to look like a fool?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what I'm doing, and it was a very interesting times for me. And I'll tell you what, all the competitive shooters, and they were really good. They were very welcoming. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, they're very complimentary because they like to see owners out there. It's humbling, and they know it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I finished normally in the bottom third, but I felt good. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, tell me about your early experiences and your failures. You have any embarrassing moments or any
When you did lose.
When I did lose.
when you just said, "Oh my Lord, there's someone watching me," and they have it all on film, and can you talk to any times like that?
Yeah. So it was my first Rimfire World match. It was definitely nerve-wracking shooting with the super squad, if you so say. It was really nerve-wracking. I was like, I'm shooting with these top class shooters, and I'm just barely getting into it. And there was a lot of times I'd have stages where I would just miss, like all the time. And I was like, just slow down. It's getting in your head. But pretty much when I first started out shooting with in the super squad, it was very nerve-wracking. And then having the TV crew there and having all the cameras on you, it's a lot more pressure than a lot of people think.
Right. What's the hardest part about competitive shooting for you?
Hardest part? I don't know. When I first started, being able to like open up and talk to people, that was pretty difficult. But now that I've seen quite a bit, being able to talk to people has gotten a lot better for me. And then I don't know. I haven't really found anything.
So if there was some young kid, whether it's a young man or a young woman, interested in shooting competitively or just shooting in general, what would you tell them?
Definitely get out to the range and go with someone that knows what they're doing, so they can teach them the correct things and not teach them bad safety. Obviously, safety is number one with shooting, but get them out to matches so they can experience what really happens in the shooting world. And then after that, have them get more comfortable with guns that they like, and then after that, just keep going at it.
Right. So your training, like obviously John and I, we go to the gym, we work out. Tell me what you do to condition yourself, whether it's on the range or in the gym, or do any mental exercises or any drills at your house, watching TV, or all the crazy stuff that people don't know about. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I don't really hit the gym much, which I could, which John gives me a hard time all the time. But a lot of time I like to sit and dry fire in my room for at least 30 minutes a night, just so I'm staying up with where I need to be. And then going to the range every once in a while just to make sure, guns running. And then other than that, I don't really do much training outside of it.
And we talked about it before, Jason. The mindset he has at his age to be able to win consistently year in and year out is a very mature mindset that you just don't see in a lot of people. Most people set one record or do one thing once, and they feel like they conquered that hurdle. And he's done this consistently year in and year out. So it's super it's super inspiring to see somebody draw that type of energy every year. And whatever technique you're using, and I'm sure at 19 you're trying to more balance normal life.
Yeah.
Now that you have a girlfriend.
It's been for a good bit now. Don't start with me. Hey, you got girlfriend, job, school.
You got to juggle.
Yeah.
So now you're juggling all the things that you're starting to adult.
Yeah.
Attempt to adult.
Yeah, I'm trying.
You know, I'm sure Melinda will have her thoughts.
So, yeah, adulting sucks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There are some pros to it, but a lot of times adulting sucks.
Yeah.
So we had a question earlier. Do you remember the question I asked you earlier?
No.
You don't remember?
No.
Yes, you do. So I'll just
She's going to remind your ass.
So I have 2 boys. Well, they're my stepsons, but I still have 2 boys.
Mm-hmm.
And if they ever leave, I would want them to come back home, right?
Yeah.
So I know that you left to go to Florida.
Yep.
And then you came back. I told you I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
And you're like, don't. And I am.
Oh, come on.
So was it the job? Or was it the woman? Or was it the mama that brought you back? Because Jason and I...
Estrogen always wins.
Estrogen. Because we had a little discussion before you came here.
Uh-huh.
And I said it was the mama that brought you back. Jason said it
This is
was
controversial.
it was the woman.
Why are you going to put me on the spot like this?
You know,
This is a tough one for a 19-year-old to tackle.
Because if I say something wrong, I mean, I'm in the doghouse for all of it.
I'm just saying every
Just
mama
say it was
out
God
there,
that brought you back.
Every mama out there wants you to say it's always the mama.
We love you, Gail.
We do. You raised a good boy.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know what to say. A lot of it was my own decision, but in the other sense, it was mom. It was the 3 months that I was there was hard because I've never left home in the whole 19 years, and leaving mom for a couple months was hard, and that was mainly the reason I wanted to come back home. But other than that, it was the job just wasn't the fit that I was looking for at the time, especially moving halfway across the country and a whole different like humidity and no humidity.
Oh, God.
The environment's totally different
Yeah,
in
it
Florida
is.
than it is up here. It is very...
Yeah, I mean, going from no humidity going to 100% humidity every day, yeah, it's a lot different.
And folks are different up down there also.
Yeah.
This would be a great opportunity for you to say, Kolby, I also missed my girlfriend.
Well, I did miss my girlfriend a lot.
All right.
I did.
Trying to save you here.
I know.
Epic fail.
Well, Mel, he's had some hunts under his belt. What would you advise him on hunting?
You know, you can't get any bigger and better than like New Mexico and Arizona when you're looking for elk.
I know.
I mean, it's gorgeous. My dream right now is to go and get a huge Yukon moose.
That would be cool.
And so up in Alaska, and I got a few more that got to get under my belt for my Super Slam. But I mean, there's something about elk and the bugling. Up here, it's kind of the wolves have kind of
Yeah.
decimated our population. Which, thank you, government, for trying to help.
Yeah.
But I would say he's going in the right direction. He's still a young buck himself. He's probably still in rut. Sorry, Mom.
Well, yeah. We won't go there.
We can't delete that either
I
because we're
know.
live. Sorry. But other than that, other than elk and the stuff you can get here in North America, is there anything else that you would want to that you're jonesing for?
So because of the elk, I've really wanted to go on a red stag hunt. I think that would be like amazing to go to New Zealand and shoot a red stag. So that's definitely on the bucket list.
I think New Zealand.
You're too young to have a bucket list.
Hey,
Get the fuck out of
I
here.
got to start it young. before I
John
start
doesn't even
forgetting.
have a bucket
I don't even have
list.
a bucket list. I'm 50.
Well, you forget.
Bucket list. I don't want to hear that out of your mouth.
No, but definitely red stag would be one hunt I'd really love to go on.
Yeah, there's great fishing down there too.
Yeah.
Just so you know, you little hunter boy. But yeah, I'll go with you if you decide you want to go
Let's
down there.
Let's go.
I'll go.
All right.
You heard it here.
yeah. I'll
Nobody
babysit.
gets that invite. I don't even get that invite. Fucking Jason doesn't even get that invite.
He needs a mama figure to go down.
Seriously. Fucking young bucks. My God. Well, hey, anything else, Mel, anymore?
No.
Maternity advice?
I don't know if you guys heard
Any
that.
more maternal advice?
but I meant it. No, I think it's great that he's close with his family. I think that keeps you grounded. I think that also makes it where you stay normal.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you get too big for your britches, then all of a sudden you turn all batshit crazy, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
just like John.
No, and I say it all the time. We run in a tough circle. We're all hypercritical of each other, and we're always, bagging on each other around here, and it's good. It keeps you grounded. We all need to be hitting the head sometimes, especially me, and it's good, and you're going to deal with that as you build out your circle because you want your circle to tell you how it is.
Yeah.
And put you in the right place. You're a 4-time world champion. It's easy to get your head filled with, the gas. And some people, get big heads just walking down the street. You have accomplished so much and done so much. It's important to stay feet on the ground, keep your values, keep a true understanding of where you're at, but also focus on where you want to be.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to do that. I think you're going to continue to do that. I think you have so much more you can accomplish. Your mindset is so impressive because you keep hitting that reset button and you keep resetting that clock. And if you keep doing that, I think it's going to serve you well down the line. And I think if you continue to focus on what's in front of you, there's nothing you can't accomplish in the sport and nothing you can't do with your life in any direction you want to go in. I think you'll do great things.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we'll be waiting for you to sign on here. Jason has the employee contract written up.
That was quick.
Yeah. We'll take you on, sign that IP away. We're ready. And we're excited that you took the time to come out here.
Yeah,
It means a lot
Thank
to
you.
all of us to spend some time. I want you to take a minute, thank any sponsors, tell people where to find you, and take a moment to kind of thank anyone you want to thank.
Yeah, so I want to thank Falkor Firearms, Zev, Vortex, Axel, Breakthrough. I've been with them pretty much since
Breakthrough Clean.
Breakthrough Clean, and Gargoyles. They have been awesome, and I'm really thankful to have them on my shirt. Other than that, I want to throw a big thanks out to my mom and my family, because without them,
You're missing someone.
and my girlfriend.
Nice
of
plug.
course.
Nice plug there.
You're going to learn the hard fucking way
Probably.
with that, for
Probably,
sure.
yeah.
You need to start to put that to the top if you're going to, if you want to,
If you want to what, John?
you're going to have to start to place that a little at the top. So where can people find you? And if, whether it's private lessons on the range, where can anyone reach you? DM, how do you prefer?
Yeah, Instagram. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram's Kolby Pavlock, and then Facebook is Kolby Pavlock Competitive Shooter. And if you have any questions or have anything you want to talk about, just hit me up, and more than likely to help you out.
And ladies, stay away.
Yes, please.
Do not slide into the DM. He doesn't need it.
I don't. I got one, and that's all I need.
It's the right answer.
It
It's
is.
an excellent answer. That was spot on. Good.
You're saving the
you.
day now, Colby.
I am.
Fucking A, these kids. So, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I've known you since you were
Short.
a little leaner,
Yeah.
a little skinnier.
Quiet.
About 16, 15 years old, just coming onto the scene. And I really appreciate you coming out, and I'm personally thanking you for taking the time to come out to Falkor and spend some time with the team and spend some time around here.
Most definitely.
I'm super proud of your accomplishments, and I know you're going to do great things.
Thank you.
I'm going to throw it over to Aaron for closing remarks and wrap it up.
Awesome.
Folks, I just want to say again, thanks to Kolby for coming out. We've enjoyed having you out here, and again, just kind of pick your brain in the young mindset. It's kind of humbling, even as an old guy like me. It's been around the block, been around the world, to see a young person like yourself keep that grounded, that humbled attitude, which is really awesome. It's really good to see. With that being said, we want to say thank you to our sponsors, Kinsey's Optics. Make sure you go onto their website. They are a one-stop shop for anything that you need for scopes, reflex sights, what have you. And go to Taurus, check out their website. They have some really cool revolvers and pistols. They've been around the game for a while. They make really good product. Big Bang Energy, they always keep John on the up and up and Jason kind of stable day to day. He doesn't get too crazy. He's wearing a tighter shirt this morning, so it keeps him sane. Also, 221B Tactical, go onto their website. They are all about the professional military, law enforcement side, as well as first responders, EMTs, fire rescue, all those guys. I mean, they're huge supporters of those, so they make really good kit for everybody. Also, one last thing will be,
Like, follow, tap the bell.
yeah, go on to iTunes. Make sure you give us a review. Instagram, Facebook, make sure you share those videos, and we always appreciate your comments. Thanks again. And keep in close proximity because we have another guest coming up shortly. Take care. Bye.